Footy and Frothies, it's preview time. Round 4 is on the horizon. Ollie, Daggy and Barney are with you, and we're joined this week by the reigning, defending SuperCoach champion Danaan to pop in with a few questions and give his thoughts along the way. Unfortunately, he's no longer the linear champion. Do you want to talk about that, Ollie?
There's no need to talk about it, especially if you're watching on YouTube. Just got my World Heavyweight Championship of SuperCoach here. And look, I've got my SuperCoach up now. I'm not sure this is terrible if you can see it on the screen, but I've got the KFC chicken drumstick pouring down my screen. You're a winner, which I am.
You are a winner indeed, Ollie.
I've got my belt, and I thought I was a velvet flog.
You're still a velvet flog.
One of those two.
That nickname is sticking, by the way. I enjoyed that. You did a good job last night, Ollie. I was proud of you. Well done. This is all starting off very very quickly. How's everyone else? Barney, what's going on?
Not much has changed since, 24 hours ago when we were sitting
Kitchen
together
looking
at
good?
5, mate.
The Montenegrin side dish has come out?
It's all completely empty. Disconnected some power today. Had a pretty rough day at work, but yes, it's nice to sit down and have a chat with you boys and have a beer or two.
Sounds like off air you're already in for a rough day tomorrow too, so all the best to you. Danaan, welcome to the show. The first time since we did our SuperCoach preview. Your initial thoughts to date on the season so far. What do you made of it all? How much have you seen? You enjoying it, apart from being a Para fan?
Yeah, apart from being a Para fan, it's been great. You summed it up quite well in yesterday's show. Just in terms of how close the games have been, how like last week's games, the majority of them were still up to grab with 10 minutes to go. It's I can't remember a season that's really started off like this.
And as a Para fan, what have you made of it?
It was as I expected. Unfortunately, the loss of Lane just before the season really hurt. The missing Papali'i was always going to be big. Missing Reed as well. Matto not being there. They were always going to hurt. Toughest draw I can remember us having. And
four buys in a row? Or 3 buys in a row?
Yeah, in three teams.
Coming
off the back of a bye. The NRL have come out and they said something about like it's not an issue, it's just luck of the draw or something. It's hard to believe that. I think it's a complete oversight from the NRL. I think they stuffed that one up.
Average teams either that are coming off the bye.
Like
you got the Roosters, Panthers,
and Manly. So I think it's safe to say no team will have that moving forward. They won't make that issue again next year. But it's not an excuse. At the end of the day, they only lost by 4. They've lost by 4 in all 3 games.
Should have won all 3 games.
They should have won all 3. They've been in position to win all 3 games, and it's a totally different story then. No one's talking about the bye issue. They're talking about the grand final rematch and Eels trying to go 4-0 to stay at the top of the table.
Yeah, good shout. I know a particular Para fan that isn't a fan of Hodgson. What have you made as your work so far?
He's doing well for a guy that's busted his knee as many times as he has. Played, 3 games in the last 2 years?
Yeah.
You summed it up quite well with your touch football analogy, I think it was yesterday. You made the break and the only reason he scored is because everyone else gave up chasing.
Yeah.
You can see how slow he is. Reed, it just hurts every time everyone's got that player that you just don't want to see in another jersey.
I've got a list. Would you like to hear it?
I feel like I'm missing Reed more than I'm missing Papali'i this season. He really seemed like he could have become something huge within the game. And
I still think he will.
Yeah. It hurts to see him go.
No, fair.
Papali'i's sort of faffing around a bit. Unfortunately,
that's another one.
Adrian
nailed that one yesterday as well. The worst thing that happened for them is they took the field.
Exactly. We could have signed some players until then, but anyway. Should we get straight into preview? We'll talk SuperCoach later. We've got disaster class coming up. Just looking through the judiciary news, Kaufusi was found guilty, got the full 4 weeks. That's a big blow for the Dolphins and a big momentum stopper. I'm just refreshing now. It doesn't look like anything else from Jerome.
Just come through. No,
they're currently looking through the Roosters, so Fletcher Baker's up now. So, yeah, nothing yet. So we'll just treat it as it is until we hear otherwise. As you mentioned, we're going to kick off the round with the grand final rematch from last year, which isn't being promoted as you said, actually. It's surprising when you think about it, isn't promoted at all in that way. But the Eels are going to go to CommBank and host the Panthers. They've had a pretty good record against top 4 teams of late, especially against Melbourne and Penrith. For Parramatta at home, they get Maddo back into the back row there. Cartwright and Madison are the starting back rowers. Dury goes to the bench, so I assume his knee must be okay. And Makatoa, Brendan Hands comes into the squad. Anything about him?
Hooker, I do believe. So they finally realised that Hodgson can't play 80 minutes.
Yeah.
I also believe his feet have fingers instead of toes, which is how he got that name.
Well done, all. All the dads out there have all just cheered together in unison.
Well played, Flog. So, yeah, and Jake Arthur Morrissey on the extended bench there. Penrith, exactly as you'd expect from before the bye. Scott Sorensen comes back onto the bench, though, for Eisenhuth to push out to 18th man. Ollie, do you want to open the batting here?
Yeah, so I want to preface this first up because in my actual tipping for the PCTC comp through ESPN Tips, I said it on last night's show, I'm just allowing the automated tipping this week because I've been woeful the first 3 rounds. So my predictions here will not be reflective of my, I don't know, electronic.
Can you actually read your automated tips at the same time? That'd be cool.
Well, I don't know. Well, they've not been selected yet, I don't think.
Okay. So
because
they won't be selected until he misses them.
Yeah.
And I don't know if he gets them.
Right. Isn't that the fault of what the comp is?
That's
so it's either home teams, away teams, or...
Well, I'm not sure what it... I'm not quite sure what it is, to be honest.
No.
But
Gaz will be listening to this and he'll message us inboxes
Gaz will let us know.
and tell us that we should know this better. Anyway, what are you doing here?
Well, here's the thing. So Parramatta 0-3, and something that I mentioned on last night's show, and I want to add in here as well. Parramatta, if they just kicked their conversions, would have beat Manly and would have gone to Golden Point against Cronulla. 2 back and forth games, and they were on top for the majority of that game against Melbourne. There's all the talk around them being 0-3 towards the bottom of the ladder. Is it sort of crisis time for Parramatta? And it's a bit of a weird one because it's the grand final rematch, and we know in the regular season last year, Parramatta got one up over Penrith. Looking at these 2 benches, I'm not very confident in doing this, but who cares? I'm going to go for it. I'm going to tip Parramatta 1-12 at home to get their first win of the season against Penrith, who themselves have only won one game so far this year, albeit they looked very impressive against South Sydney. I'm going to say first try scorer is Waka Blake, and I'm going to say man of the match, Junior Paulo, because I think if Parramatta are to win this one, it's going to come down to a big effort and big minutes from their starting forward pack.
No, fair call. I just want to get in now because it's in front of me and we have talked about PCTC and Gaz will be pulling his head if we don't mention it. The PCTC sports tipping comps you can find on Facebook, but the current leaderboard on our affiliate partners tipping board, Frofro is leading on 16 points. In the Footy Frothies comp, J-Dog 77 is on 14 points. Flobs again carrying the flag on 13 points, along with Ra, Action Bailey on 13. So if I look to the wooden spoon section, coming 77th in PCTC is Barnabas, 75th is Ollie, Maz is 66, and the old Dax is hovering around the 50s. So these are trusted opinions people are seeking, Barney.
Every time I tip a favourite, they lose, and every time I go for the upset, it seems to lose as well. So I'm flying to start this year. Generally go okay, but this year not so much.
What are you thinking here?
Oh, mate. It's gonna. I expect it to be a really tough encounter for at least for the first half an hour. Like Parramatta's desperate now. It's it's down to playing for sheep stations at this point in time, and Penrith would want to continue on the way that they came through with their win, backing it up off the back of the bye. So that gets you, three games in a row. I can't see Parramatta doing enough, to be honest, to get Penrith. They've been very hit and miss, especially in their defence, letting in a lot of points early in the year. And I think if they let Penrith skip out past 20 points, they're going to have a very hard time chasing it down. So there's some really good matchups all through the forward pack. Like the starting forward packs line up really good up against each other. But when you get back down, as I've said before the start of the year, Parramatta do have an issue with their bench rotation. And I think Penrith will just take over once that bench rotation comes in. It may only be for a short amount of time, but I think it'll be enough for Penrith. And they've got a slight edge in the back five as well. If you match them all up, like Parramatta have got a couple of guys that are probably better, but then overall Penrith, I think, are just that little bit smoother in the back line. So I've got Penrith winning 1-12. I'm going to go with Mike Sevo to score the first try. I think they just barge over again, straight over the top of Combank specials, straight over the top of somebody to score the first try. But I think it'll be Cleary that'll be the puppet master and will orchestrate this win for Penrith. Well.
Danaan?
Yeah, I've got Panthers 13+. Eels defence just won't be enough to hold them out. Just looking at line the two teams up, you'd be lucky to pick two Eels players over Panthers in the same position. Like you'd probably have Sevo over Taruva, Brown over Luai, and that's about it. That's about all.
Hodgson over Kenny?
Oh,
maybe.
No, I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. But that's it. Like it really just would be those two.
As a Para fan, who is your favourite Parramatta player? Because no Para fan seems to like any Parramatta players.
Peter Sterling?
No, it's
it's either Sterlo or Nathan Hindmarsh, and then that's it.
Hindmarsh is a god.
Is Hopgood the second? Is Hopgood the second coming?
Yeah, no, Campbell Gillard and Junior Paulo. Just love those two big. Yeah, the two big boys.
Kill it week in and week out, don't they?
It was Reed last year for me. It was Reed. So that I think that's why it hurts. Yeah. I really did like. He's just his little shitty niggle and that he had in. He's one of those guys that if he was on your team,
how good's his kicking game? Wasn't allowed to do it last year.
Yeah.
Series
he started
fucking chief kicker at the Dogs.
That's it. He the only person that you could say it was similar to was the Cameron Smith, just straight out of dummy half and get the markers when they're not ready. But yeah, Eels I just can't see it. Taruba, first try scorer, Panthers 13+.
I said last week, from now for the rest of the season, I'm going to tip the left winger against the Eels, and that's the Bizzer out there doing the business.
Taruba.
Is Taruba left wing?
Taruba's left wing. Bizer's on the right.
Sorry, I've gone the wrong way.
Nice.
I'll back them both. You get $6 and $8. There you go. Back them both. But for the record, I'll stick with Biz. I said it out loud, so I'm going to go against my own Pearl in the first round. But Biz first try, probably untouched. Man of the match, Cleary. You're right. When he's got time and space here, he's going to put on a show now. And I know, as you said, Ollie, they've only lost these games by a handful of points, but they've conceded 20s and 30s along the way. Penrith aren't going to concede 30 points here.
They're at 80, which is the most points conceded by any team after 3 rounds.
Penrith aren't conceding 30 points.
Question.
Yes.
When Bizzer crosses for his first try of the game, will there be a Parramatta player in front of him trying to stop him from scoring the try, or will said player be 10
metres away pointing at Gutho? Oh, no, Gutho will be pointing at him. What are you doing here?
Gutho will be coming across in defence to try and keep him on the sideline.
Yes, exactly right.
That'll be it.
This player to Toho as he scores.
Exactly.
Well, there's a chance, though. Crichton does like holding onto the ball, so there might be a chance of a player being there.
You know, Crichton scored the first two. Crichton could score untouched himself, and now thinking about this, he has done it twice in a row. If you get $14-15, Crichton's a bet for sure and certain.
Yeah, pretty much the whole Panthers back five, first try scorer.
Typical.
And you will be in front.
Throw Liam Martin in there as well.
Yeah,
I
why
was
not?
actually thinking, who's the second rower on the right-hand side of the Panthers? Because they'll be going in the anytime bet.
We haven't touched on that classic clash between Liam Martin and Bryce Cartwright. Barney, you want to elaborate?
The old guard against the new guard.
There they are.
Oh, well, I dare say that Cartwright will probably only spend 20 minutes on the field and be taken off and then brought back on again for another 20-minute stint, because I don't think he's going to match motors with Liam Martin for 80 minutes.
In all fairness to him, I think he's played 80 both games so far.
He's done well.
Yeah. He's been fine. As has Dory. But big game for Maddo coming back. All right.
Yeah, he's got a big point to prove.
Friday kicks off 6 o'clock down at Amy Park, where the Storm host the Tigers. The Storm welcome back Cameron Munster at 6. Who's he ever beat? Jerome Hughes is being named. We're waiting to hear judiciary. I suspect he won't be playing this game, but I've been wrong before. Allegedly. And the back line, everything else is pretty standard. Who else have we got back here? Everything else looks as per program with them. The Tigers, Adam Dewey's moved to 1. Wakeham named at 6. Tupou keeps his starting spot. No Fulham are relegated for his pot plant efforts last week. Pole keeps the 13 spot. We get Papai and Bateman both named in the back row for the first time. Dane Laurie at 14. And Alex Seyfarth named to come back in, which is a tick for me because, God, we could use him. Barney, lead us away.
Well, it's the best chance the Tigers have got. They've beaten the Storm for quite some time. Still don't see it happening. But, Dewey to fullback's an interesting one for me. They've already cut and run and they've brought Wakeham in. So we saw what Wakeham did the other day, but he was majority on the left as well, linking up with Brooks. So I'm not sure whether that just completely writes off the right-hand side for the Tigers now or what's going to happen there. But, I think that obviously the Tigers should match it in the forwards, and they may even better the Melbourne Storm at different times in the forwards in this game, but it's just too many points in the Melbourne spine for mine. I know they've been playing up and down, but
the other one I didn't mention, Capoe pushed back to the centres, so they've shored up that outside edge as well.
Yeah, should help. But I just obviously whenever you've got Harry Grant combining with either Hughes or Munster or possibly both, and I think I'm expecting a big game out of Meany, to be honest. I think he will be the difference, and he'll be the one that'll be pushing through the holes that are created by the Munster and Harry Grant in the middle of the field, and probably score. I'm thinking he might score a double and be man of the match. I think Melbourne will skip away late. Won't be a big 13 plus, but they'll just maybe win by 14 or 16 points. And I've got Xavier Coates for the first try.
It does set up a very exciting Easter Monday where we can have 0-6 at Combank, where kids get in free apparently. So sold out crowd there for that bottom of the table clash. I'm tipping the Tigers because guess what? Tipping the Tigers. They after I vowed I wouldn't, but I think Wakeham coming in at least is some structure. I think our forwards will own them, and I've said it before, and it will happen again. And I wouldn't be surprised if we lose, but they've got a habit of giving me hope around round 4, 5, 6, and this will be the game. John Bateman I thought was sensational last week, better for the run. He'll monster some of these unnamed geeks in the front row, front row, like Christian Walsh, who's he? He'll throw him around a bit and be man of the match. And I'm going to no, he won't. He'll be man of the match for the Tigers. The man of the match we'll give 3 points to next week will be Harry Grant because he'll be the only reason again they're in this game. First try scorer will be Remus Smith. And just to make me angry to start with, Danaan. You can all pour scorn on me for that, by the way. You're allowed to.
No. I can. You've got to back your team. Munster back, I think, is just going to be the difference.
It broke my heart.
The bloke who just tipped Penrith to win 30 plus.
Yeah.
You've got to back your team.
You go for it. Deep down, I hope we win. like,
Of course.
but realistically, like if I'm putting money on it, Penrith 13 plus is the smart bet. Melbourne 1-12. I think Munster gets him over the line. He's just energy. Just what he brings to that team.
Munster is terrifying, and I wish he wasn't here.
Yeah. So if he was out, it would be the flip of the coin. First try scorer though, Kamika, short ball off Grant, under the sticks.
Ollie, what are you thinking here? You hoping for a Marty School finger break spot from Cameron Munster, or what?
Well, I mean, you pretty much ruled out the Tigers winning this game by tipping them, so I'm going to go Melbourne 13 plus. I mean, Melbourne are bad, but like I've been going in on them too much this year, but they are literally dead last, 0-3, and they've been terrible. I mean, Melbourne are bad, but I don't think their Tigers bad. And with Cameron Munster coming back, I think it's got to be 13 plus. I will say though, I'll say the Forbes Ferrari, Charlie Staines crosses over early, and we get that sort of that hype from the commentators. Oh, is the ambush on here from the Tigers? Are Melbourne really that bad this season? Are we going to get a big upset victory? And then Cameron Munster, who will be the man of the match, then goes on to put on a masterclass and Melbourne win 30-4 or something like that. Actually, not 30-4 because their defense has been pretty terrible. So we'll say like 30-12, 30-14. The Tigers will score some points in this game.
I feel like for my own sanity that I will back Warbrick first try scorer because he'll score 5 this game after I gave him a serve the other night.
At what point would you feel comfortable on the weekend? It's the 75th minute. How many points do you need to be ahead by to think you've still got it?
36.
I was going to say 18.
Yeah, that's it. Like if you're up by 10 and there's 5 to go,
if the Tigers score 36 points, I'll take it.
Yeah.
Melbourne might score 72, but all right. One of the crackerjack games of the weekend on this Friday night bonanza is the Dolphins hosting the Broncos at Suncorp. Kafusi's gone, so I assume we get to see. Let me just have a look here. Jared Wallace is back for them.
Mason Teague, wouldn't it?
Mason Teague comes back onto the bench. I'll suggest Mark Nichols back, Wallace back, Stone on the bench. A suggestion there's an issue with Katoa, so Milford may well play in this game. And the Brisbane team are full strength. They look good and look sharp, and they'll win this game at Suncorp. I assume it's going to be sold out. If not, well, old Ollie
already sold out, I believe.
I was going to say Ollie Meltzer can report on the ratings and the crowd. So,
well, I saw today someone actually uploaded a screenshot. They went on to try and buy a ticket, and the whole thing's been like they had the the map of the stadium. Everyth's been blacked out.
That should be sensational. That's exciting, and how good for rugby league. And Ollie, as you are the expert, in your opinion, how good have the crowds and ratings been this year?
Well, they've actually been solid so far. The only game that's really been a letdown was the Dragons-Titans game, and that's the only game so far that's gotten under 10,000 people to the ground, and there's usually 1 or 2 per week. But so far, the first 2 rounds, Suncorp Stadium hosted the highest attendance. It was first the Dolphins versus the Roosters, and then the Broncos and Cowboys. But then round 3, Allianz Stadium, the Roosters and the Rabbitohs there. But if this game is sold out, then this will be the highest attended game to date. And to be honest, if they crack 50,000, I don't see any other games being played at ANZ Stadium cracking 50,000.
If we get to Canterbury Tigers, top 4. Semi-final, I'll feel it.
Obviously. I'm talking regular.
Melbourne was sold out, which I'd only know it's 16.
Yeah, it was. About 16,000 there, but maybe this is a bold prediction now, but I'm tipping that we will have the highest attended regular season game in this one, and the only other one that could probably come close to beating it at this point now will be the reverse fixture between these two at the same ground.
What about Magic Round?
Magic Round usually
regular season fixture.
It's still season. Magic.
You can't have Magic Rounds.
I
know what you meant. I know what you meant. Single one-off.
Yeah, Magic Round still.
Fair.
Magic Round still won't top this either, I don't think. Magic Round,
I don't think it was sold out last year.
How much does the Gabba hold? Because Brisbane playing at the Gabba later this year.
Do they really?
Yes.
Because of the Women's World Cup.
35, I think.
Yeah, I think it might be 42. It might be 42.
Yeah, because I can just see, just for the nostalgia.
I feel like it's
factor,
35, 38, but it could be since the renovations.
Yeah.
Over that other side of Brisbane there. Anyway, Brisbane will win this. They're a good team. They will be my favourite team right now, if you haven't noticed. Man of the match will be Payne Haas, because he'll do what he does each and every week and roll forward and dominate this ageing forward pack. They're still stepping up. Kafusi's a big out in regards to that. First try scorer will be Herbie. Bit of footwork, getting around the edges there. But this will be a cracker. I don't think this will be a blowout. I'm going to say 1-12, and I'm going to say the job's done late. If it is a blowout, it will be very late, as you said earlier, Ollie, with the other game. What are you thinking here, Danaan?
I think it'll be similar to the Dragons game last week. I think it'll be touch and go, and potentially Dolphins in front with 20 to go before the Broncos run away with it. I'm going 13 plus, but I do think the Dolphins, they're just that feel good story at the moment. It's still going well for them. Everything's going right. Couple of the former Broncos return back to Suncorp against the Broncos. So it's just, the build-up's going to be amazing. The atmosphere is going to be amazing. And Asako to score the first try against his former team. But Reece Walsh, he's where's he ranking at the moment for you guys in terms of fullbacks after?
He's at the top of my heart.
Well, I'll say this. You'd have to think now the Kalen Ponga situation, we obviously know nothing about that, but if Walsh keeps playing with the form he does and Ponga can't be back by the time we have Origin 1 or he's out again, Reece Walsh should walk into the fullback spot, you'd have to think.
Yeah. He's definitely in the top couple. He's probably closer to one than anywhere else, to be honest.
If he keeps playing the way he has been, he'll be in front of Ponga.
You look at the first 3 weeks of this year, the three standouts have probably been Gutherson, Kennedy, and Reece Walsh.
Turbo.
Oh, yeah, sorry. Forgot about Turbo. But, they're definitely the top 4. So.
And Teddy's 5.
That's it. But, Reece Walsh he's been amazing.
Because who's it? Well, the alternative is AJ. So, AJ's good too. AJ's probably 6.
The Dolphins fullback hasn't been horrible either.
Yeah.
But that's out of all
good
those
shout.
ones,
He played.
Reece Walsh does feel like he's clearly number 1 though after his first 2 games.
And Queensland love getting that Brisbane wave going. If Brisbane's flying, they'll pick the Brisbane fullback.
Yeah,
which is exciting. Like him in Origin will be exciting.
It would be.
Who's going to go next, Ollie?
Yeah, well, my Finn is well and truly up. I'm back in the Dolphins this week. But I feel like if this makes sense, this is the final week where the Dolphins will have that added incentive and that added boost. I guess that sort of storyline with it. Round 1, obviously their first game. Round 2 was their return to Redcliffe. Round 3, their first ever away game. Round 4 is their first ever big derby game against the Broncos. I think they'll be up for it. I think Wayne Bennett will get them up for it. I feel like it'll be on the lower scoring end. I'm going to say that I'll say there won't be more than 24 points scored by the winner. And that's sort of what we've seen from Dolphins games so far, at least. Brisbane been a little bit different apart from that game against Penrith. So I'm going to say Dolphins 1-12 in a close, gritty game. I feel like Brisbane will probably be the better team for the majority of it, but they'll just sort of hang in there. And I think they can hold on or just get over the top of them to win. First try scorer, I'm going to go with the Hammer. And man at the match, I will say Tom Gilbert.
And Barn, why will we be giving 3 Haas, 2 Reynolds, 1 Carrigan come next Wednesday?
I've actually got an expectation. I think Ezra Mam's going to be the man of the match in this game, to be honest. I think you're going to see the Dolphins have been working overtime just to stay in And I know they've won the 3 games, but they've had to work overtime in those 3 games to get to where they are in this point. And I think you're going to see some fatigue build up in their outside backs and in and around the second rowers, especially with someone like Mason Teague coming in and finding it starting in that position where Ezra Mann will be running. And then I just got a feeling that your Tessie News and your Sakos of the world going back to Brisbane in a sold-out stadium with a point to prove may just overcook themselves a little bit. Bennett gets them up and going, and then they just go too far, and they lose their head halfway through the game and get found out like quite a few times on their edges. So I can see Brisbane stripping them late and scoring quite a few points and winning 13 plus, with Ezra Mann being the one to lay on quite a few tries in this game. And I'm going to go the first try scorer, Ricky, on the right-hand edge there, crashing over as a back rower.
Beautiful. Super Saturday kicks off with as I just scroll a little bit further, Cowboys. Oh, it's an all Queensland weekend with the Cowboys hosting the Titans. For the Cowboys, Griffin Neem is starting at prop and Ruben Cotter's out. Mitch Dunn comes back onto the bench, and Chris Randall keeps his spot, and Titans are 1-17. Ollie, you feeling confident for this derby?
No, but I will say Cotter is a big out for the Cowboys because despite their sort of drop-off in form, he has remained consistent, especially in defence. We sort of went over it last night in the review show, so I think he's a big out. However, the Titans, usually after winning an upset game, I find that they get a little bit complacent. Typically, the Cowboys still have that point to prove. They're just, things aren't clicking at the moment. There are talks of a drop-off. I still think there will end up being a little bit of a drop-off, but I feel like they will come good, and this could be the perfect game for them to maybe start picking up a bit of momentum again, especially at home. I'm going to say 1-12 to the Cowboys. Man of the match, and I'll say first try scorer Val Holmes. Man of the match, I'll say Chad Townsend, leading them around in attack. But I'm going to be, once it comes game day, I'm going to be backing my boys here, especially after the performance they did put in against Melbourne. Obviously, a lot of that did come down to an absolute Melbourne capitulation for pretty much 80 minutes. But there were signs there of really good things, especially from David Fafita, and he's someone I'm definitely going to be keeping an eye on. It'll be interesting to see the matchup between him and a player who probably didn't play to our expectations of him last week, Jason Taumalolo, who was the only Cowboys forward to run over 100 metres, and he only just barely scraped by, didn't he?
It's like 109 or something.
Great. Taumalolo's got a point to prove this week as well, so that probably doesn't help the Titans. But yeah, 1-12 to the Cowboys.
I don't know if they'll run into each other too much, to be honest, because Tamalolo these days seems to play in the middle a bit more than
I'm not saying they'll match up.
No, but yeah. Statistic.
Yeah. I know you. I'm going to get the barn where Barnes going to tip the Cowboys and say they're going to bounce back, but the Cowboys are gone. I'm going to tip. I think they're just, the form is the form, as I said last night. I think they've got issues there, and I'm not quite sure if they know the way out of it. I think the Titans will win 1-12. They'll have points in them, and I'm not sure the Cowboys do. David Fafita, as he did a lot of the grunt work last week, we've been waiting to see. I think he backs that up and is man of the match here. And I'm going to go first try scorer Aaron Shoop, just barging over Shibasaki there, who somehow got another gig in first grade. Yatama coming in definitely helps them. Cotter coming out definitely doesn't help them. So, yeah, they're somewhere in between here, the Cowboys, and I'm just going to, until I see otherwise, I'm going to go with the Titans to keep their run going, Barn.
I mean, I don't trust either team at this point, to be honest. I haven't trusted the Titans for a couple of years, and now I'm starting to, I didn't trust the Cowboys at the start of last year until they proved me wrong at the back end, and they've started like a flaming pile of refuse at the start of this year. So, yeah. I'm going with the home team, to be honest. I'm not picking a team because I think they're going to be better on the day. Too. I'm just going to go that they've got the home team here. Cowboys 1-12. Reece Robson's probably been their best player, if not their second best player,
Really?
week in and week out. So if they are to get the job done, I'd expect him to have a large involvement and maybe set up a try and score one of his own. But I am going to go David Fifita to score the first try.
Dana?
The Titans, I think they might just start a little bit quicker than the Cowboys. I think because Cowboys have been starting so fast lately and they have to change something. So I'm expecting them to probably try and build into this game and take it a bit further in and play towards the back end of the game.
I can see, I know I tipped to a tip, but I can see Calm Pereira burning someone off here and running away. Danaan?
That's it. The Cowboys pretty much have started this year how we expected them to play last year. Best way of putting it. I'm going Ollie's Titans to win. I just think Ruben Cotter out is just too much. It's been mentioned they're missing Gilbert as well, who's obviously gone to the Dolphins, but just their forwards just aren't performing like they were last year. Tamalolo's nowhere near what he's been at. If the Titans forwards can repeat what they done last week and give it to the Cowboys, I think they can dominate enough to hold on to like a 1-12, similar to last week. Just I can see lots of points. It's Saturday afternoon up in North Queensland. It could be like that 26-30 type scoreline. And Khan Pereira to catch the ball and fall over the line and score 30 points in SuperCoach.
It is interesting because one of the matchups is Fifita versus Nanai, and Nanai is not covering himself with any glory in terms of a defensive back rower. He could own Jeremiah here.
Fifita's been having shots on both sides of the field at the start this year as well. So the other edge might come into question as well, realistically.
Well, finally, I love that Holbrook's finally just gone, let's just put Mo here and Tino here, and then we'll work the rest out around it.
Yeah, well, Fifita obviously starting on the right side, but basically as soon as they go to that shape with Foran on the left, he's going out of his way to get over there and get involved.
He's been allowed that flexibility to roam.
And why wouldn't you when Foran's going to drag that line in? Foran's tremendous at dragging those defenders in. His timing on that's perfect. And the last bloke you want when your shoulder's the wrong way is Fifita coming at you. So
the biggest thing with Fifita, though, is that it's the defence side of things that he's putting in the effort.
Yeah.
He's always had the attack where he could win the Titans a game in 10 minutes of running the ball. But it's his defensive efforts that I'm sure Titans fans are most happy with right now because it just hasn't always been there.
Probably the last 4 games last year, we mentioned he was making 30 tackles a game, and he hadn't done it for his entire career, and he's brought it again this year. So
it's a scary thing. He could become that best second rower again, or at least in the talks of the best second rower in the comp again, if he can definitely hold on to that form moving forward.
Well, it feels like you're bursting to say something.
Well, it just maybe it seems like he's gotten to the point now where he's re-signed and he's like, you know what, treating this like a holiday is getting kind of boring. I might put a bit more of an effort. But it was Barney brought up last year. Funnily enough, for me, the game where he started really putting in that defensive effort was it 1 or 2 games where he started at centre, and that's where he's sort of tackle output increased from 15 to 20, 25 tackles. And it was weird because he was doing it in the centres, and then ever since he's moved back to his regular position, that second row, he's just kept it up. Maybe Justin Holbrook's, maybe he's the genius, maybe he's worked it out. And he also had that light bulb moment, I should be starting Mo Fodawaker. Okay, so maybe he's starting to get it now.
Yeah, easy to forget. I think he's still only 23 or 24, isn't he?
No, yeah. Oh, and
both of them.
Both pretty young. Yeah.
They're both only young. They're there's still upside to both of them. And the second game on Saturday, as Danaan just pointed out, we've got 3 on Sunday, which is, I guess, something to do. The Bunnies host the Seagulls with the poor Rabbitohs Packers falling to bits. Totola MCL, he's going to be out for 4 weeks now. I believe they've also lost Sele through HIA, and Shaq Mitchell does not look good from all reports. So they're going to open with Saluka Fifita and Burgess in the front row. Colin Matangi host Murray, bench is tough. Cheekham, Mawali, and Jed Cartwright. For the Seagulls, they are the same 17 that came down and did the job last week. Dana, as you take a mouthful of water, what are you thinking there?
What? I'm just upset that Cheekham's on the bench. He's been a great little pod for me in SuperCoach.
And nice fun too, for the record.
I think it's going to be a close one. Obviously, South are going to be stinging after the loss, but as you mentioned, their forward pack, they're really scraping the barrel now. They'd have to have at least 5 of their starting or their top 17 out in the forwards alone.
Yep.
Manly, full of confidence, top of the table. What do we think of Schuster?
I thought it was fantastic last week. I thought it was great.
Yeah. He straightens that lineup quite nicely. Yep. So I think I'll be going Manly in a close one. I just think Manly will have the edge due to the forwards missing. If South were full strength, it's a completely different story, but you got to pick it on what's available. So yeah, Manly 1-12 and Hank Scorpio first try scorer.
He'll be as shocked as all of us when he does. Barney, what are you thinking?
My God, why didn't I think of that?
Yeah, no, as you mentioned, the South are going back to their second and third changes in their prop rotation, but I still think they've got probably just enough to get over this Manly side in the middle of the field, especially if you look at that interchange where you have Cheekham, Mawali and Cartwright up against Kepi, Bullimore and Ben Trebojevic. I'm not quite sure that the rotation is still as good as it should be for Manly when those 3 come on. And Mawali's just going to put his head down and rush through the middle, and Cheekham's got a bit of ball playing and footwork on an edge. So I think that South may be able to just outlast Manly in this one. I know Manly's been good, and I've been pretty high on them to start the year, but I just think the bubble might burst in this game, and South may just open up the rack late in both halves, and Damien Cook will take advantage. I think this game for me sets up as a game where he takes control at the back end of both halves of the game and really starts to open up the middle of the field and gets him the man of the match plaudits. Tass, I'm going to go with Isaiah Tass to score the first try on the left edge. Probably dummy to AJ and have the winger chase him and step back inside and score on the inside of him. And South to just scrape by with maybe a 2 or 4 point win.
No, I am going to be more aggressive with this, and I think that when these teams lose their medals, it's more important than we probably give credence to. I'm going to say Manly, and I'm going to say 1-12 only because I don't trust a Manly defence to not concede 25 points either. So otherwise, I'll tip them 13 plus. I think they can score points here, and I think they can steamroll and set up and play very well on. Just rolling down the field, getting their 2 back rows involved, and then spreading it when they need to. Schuster coming in, drawing the line a bit for the run. Tommy Turbo run amok on the back of that. It's
part of the thought due to Walker, and just when they get behind, he just niggles and it's absolute garbage from him. I know you just mentioned it yesterday, but it's just like
of course it is.
It's like if they're in front, Walker could set up 5 tries and they could win by 30.
Yeah. Could you imagine a halves pairing of Mitch Moses and Cody Walker?
Oh, jeez.
Poor referee.
That'd be... Could you? Oh.
But anyway.
You need to on the field.
I digress. First try...
2 halves on your bench.
First try scorer will be Ruben Garrick. I'm not going to overthink this one. It'll be the Schuster sucks him in, Tommy draws a man, and then Garrick just waltzes over. Man of the match. Tommy Turbo. Tommy's back. He'll be flooded by Schuster, flooded by DCE, and everyone will get to rave about him again next week. Ollie?
This is probably the hardest game for me to tip this round, but just on the point of Cody Walker as well, something that I didn't explicitly bring up last night's show, but it's something that I've mentioned multiple times probably since we started the show in 2020. And it's just what Cody Walker does at the start of each season. You sort of don't know what you're going to get. You can sort of be a bit up and down, but there usually always comes a point sort of early in the season where South Sydney will either get a big win that he'll have a hand in, and that'll boost his confidence and he'll be on fire for the next 5 weeks or so. But also on the flip side of that, if there's a game that doesn't go his way, or South Sydney seem to lose a big game, especially one where he loses his head, aka possibly, I don't know, a game against their biggest rivals where he, as I said, turned on the peanut with 3 minutes to go, he just looks like he's depressed and doesn't want to be there for the next 10 weeks or so. So I feel like that, if history's anything to go by, I think that switch is turned on, and we might not see a huge performance out of Cody Walker until, I don't know, when South Sydney are next versing a bottom 4 quality side. But I don't think we're going to see anything too big from him. And that also, as I've mentioned before, does tend to hurt Ilias a bit. I'm hoping, and I don't think it will impact him as much this year because I think he has gotten better. But what does that also mean? If Walker's not putting in as much effort, Latrell has to get more involved in the game, and we know how he likes to more be that clutch player and just sort of chip in when he's needed for a big play. Also, Damien Cook, a lot more earnest on him. I think he's been very good to start this season. The best start for him to a season for at least a couple of years, I think. So that'll help. But I'm going to side with Daggy here. I think that the outs in the forward pack, they're just making me lean towards Manly. Barney nearly swayed me back with the bench because I don't know why Ben Trbojevic is on this bench when KO Weeks is already there. For some reason, Manly seem to see him as a second rower. He's a centre. He's just not. I know he's tall, but I don't think he's got the size really to be playing forwards.
Yeah, I do. Yeah,
Should be simply over Trbojevic on the bench 100%. But
he just must be like a fantastic track worker, like a great trainer. He must just snap people.
And he's got his brothers there too, I'm sure.
Yeah, but like he must just train his ass and fold people in half for training and stuff like that.
I just think because you're going to have Schuster run into that left with Tuolagi. The reason I've gone south is basically Kulamatangi, and I was going to have him as my man of the match. I think he's going to make it a point of rattling Tuolagi and Schuster when they try to play that slow play down that left-hand side, and he's going to come rushing out and try and put some shots.
Yeah, but is that detrimental?
Playing a couple of blokes up. So.
Him and Ola Kawadu this week will be a great watch.
Outstanding.
I don't know if they're going to line up against each other, but they're very similar players.
Cameron Murray adds 10 times anything Gashaella is going to bring. So, but hey, I'm running last in the
They seem to be pulling
South anyway.
They seem to be pulling Murray off early. Is that just because he's going so hard?
I think he's just
because
he's
good looking. I'd pull him off.
The first 2 games, it was all right. Did you just say because he's good looking? Don't want him to get a stud in the face.
No, he was.
He's like around the. He's only averaging like.
No, he was apparently he was gassed. Yeah, in the heat.
More often than the rest.
Like 60-ish minutes the last 2 games. So.
I think they tried to give him that little spell, a good 20 minutes around at halftime. Who hasn't tipped here, Danaan?
I haven't given full predictions as of yet. So I'm going to go Manly 1-12. Daly Cherry Evans, man of the match, because I feel like this will be one of these games where he's consistent with his in-play kicking, right? But there are some games where it just stands out and it comes close to getting Manly in those positions to win games. I feel like this will be that type of game.
He's the best half on the field.
Yeah.
He cops more hate out of fucking most halves in the game, mate. Like, seriously, he is a seriously good player, and the amount of hate that guy cops.
Not wrong. Most of it's from Queenslanders.
All Manly fans. I've seen Johnny down the Grey Gums, massive Manly supporter, bags him every time he sees him get the ball.
Could you imagine DC at the Tigers? My God.
Not everyone's going to play for Tigers, all right?
But could you imagine?
Apparently Will Kennedy is, but...
You've had about 8 different halfbacks playing for the Tigers in the last 2 days.
Williams and DC as a halves. RTS at fullback. How good's life?
And Trindle in there, and freaking Hughes.
I just need something. I'm 5 years in this podcast. I need to cling to something. Are we done here? Anyone else?
First try scorer. Let's go Tuipulotu.
All right. Sunday, we get the Super Sunday ticket, which might not be a bad shout for a beer, Barney, given I've got no children. We can talk about it off air. is 2 o'clock kickoff with the Warriors hosting the Bulldogs at Mount Smart. Shans is back to hopefully pick up his hot form. Wade Egan's unfortunately out, and as is Barnett after his nerve injuries last week. Jackson Ford back as well for them to start. So the team looks pretty good. And Canterbury have the same team as last week with 18th man Braden Burns. No TPJ just yet. What are you thinking here, Ollie?
Well, shit. It's taken me 4 weeks to tip the team that at the start of the year I tipped to win the wooden spoon to win a game.
You're going to do it? You're going to do it?
Oh,
I'm going to do it. And in large part, it's going to come down to what we've been talking about for the Warriors all year so far. And we were praising it last night on the show, the forward pack. I feel like Warriors forward pack can, with due respect, quite easily boss this Bulldogs forward pack, which I think's been solid so far this year. But I can see your Torhus and Yaden Fanua Blakes rolling these blokes with Niokore getting on the back of that. And again, setting them up in good positions for Sean Johnson to hopefully be able to get good ball out to the edge players. And we spoke about the ball playing last night as well of both Tamari Martin and Sean Johnson. I'm going to say Warriors 1-12. First try scorer, I'm going to go Edward Cossey. Man of the match. It's got to be Torhu, but Barney won't want to give him 3 points or any points.
Because he only makes 60 tackles and it was just Torhu.
Because Barney is biased against forwards getting points. He only wants halfbacks.
He's also biased against good players. Torhu's getting 3 points here. Torhu's getting 3 because that Warriors will win. You're right. I have nothing more to add. Warriors will win. This will become a big grind through the middle, and Andrew Webster, it turns out, knows how to coach. The structures will remain in place. I think this will be sort of a 24-20 scoreline, but I'm hoping and praying not praying because I don't care that much. I'm hoping the Mount Smart crowd gets them home. There'll be some sparkling stuff from the big outside backs, and it's a great clash. Alamote, Avarillo and Kiraz against these big boys out the back. Really excited to see that. Chance will be outstanding. I'm going to give him first try. Torhu, man of the match. 1-12 Warriors. Danaan?
Go on the Bulldogs. I think Barnett and Wade Egan out are too much.
Okay, yeah, fair.
Because pretty much for those parts that you've been rapping, how good the forwards have been, it has been a lot of Egan.
And Wade Egan, and we talked about Robson, but Wade Egan is the form hooker of the comp. He has been sensational.
And that's why I just, if he's in, I tip them.
Yep.
And that's all it is. It's the only reason I'm going the Bulldogs. Jacob Kiraz, is it too early to say potential Origin bolter? He's leading the Dally M's after 3 rounds.
You got to jump Fox. You got to jump Fox and Tupou.
Well, I think he can jump the Fox if he keeps going. He's got youth on his side. But he gets in and does the dirty work.
I think Freddie will be too scared to leave Fox out this year after the World Cup.
Potentially. But
I assume he's a Bulldogs junior, so he's New South Wales.
Yeah. They were, but
I reckon he's top 4.
But it's not just the try scoring ability. It's the fact that it's his defense is good, but he just loves the dirty work. He seems to doesn't mind getting in dummy half and doing those hard yards. But the Bulldogs, they're pretty much doing what I guess you want your Tigers to do. They're starting to gel much quicker. Good win on the weekend, and just they're hitting the Warriors, I guess, at the right time with a couple of injuries to some key players. Kiraz first try scorer and Burden man of the match. Yeah.
What do you think, Barn? Have we all just missed kick out here?
I don't think I can tip a team with Jaden Ockenbaugh and Corey Waddell on the bench, to be honest.
Is Ockenbaugh
Seriously.
I did not mention it. Sorry, I did not mention that. Their bench is Ockenbaugh, Waddell, Tanner, and Brown.
How did I miss
surely that changes.
And I had massive raps on what Dylan Walker and Jazz Tavanga did last week. You had Bailey Sirenin in there, who he doesn't do it often, but he is a game changer as well. When he's on, he can be a game changer as well. So you got 3 blokes in here in this Warriors bench who can come on and break open a game compared to maybe Farman and Brown, who might have some sort of impact. But yeah, I've been pretty bullish on the Warriors and what they've been doing through the middle of the field for the first 3 games of this year, and I can't see it changing. I think they will be quite dominant against this Dogs pack who do have a lot of workers and guys that can do it, that will work all day, but there's not a lot of X factor in there apart from kick out from line. So I can see the Warriors dominating the middle of the field. I thought Marie Martin and Sean Johnson last week were really good together, and if they can kick up the same kind of combination in this one, I can see them winning and maybe getting close to 13+, but I'm going to stay on the safe side and tip the Warriors 1-12 at home. Sean Johnson, man of the match. I think he's been building the last 2 weeks in a row, and I think that if he's kicking games on point, that'll start them in the right direction, and then he can start putting some guys into holes to score some points. But I'm going to go Josh Adokar first try. Maybe a trick shot off Burton, that play they like to do, the early kick down the left-hand edge. Some points for the Dogs first up. But
So halfback, the man of the match, not Tohu Harris.
No.
Okay.
That's right. We all get votes here, Oliver.
He's changed.
Lair. All right, Knights and Raiders at McDonald Jones, 4:00, where Newcastle have named Saifidi. They're still waiting on confirmation there. They get
my man of the match is coming from this one, Oliver.
Jaden Brayley is coming back, and Mazu comes in for Dom Young, who's been dropped. Wow. And Leo Thompson moves from lock to prop, and Jack Hetherington goes to the bench. Kurt Mann comes back to lock the scrum. Papa's back for the Raiders, so Gula goes back to the bench, and Zach Wolford does start, as we suggested, for Levi, because apparently there's an aversion to Tom Starling playing 80 minutes. What are you thinking here, Barn?
I think Newcastle get rolled through the middle. Papali back in is a massive in, and I just think that frees up Joseph Tapane to do what he's been doing previously when those two were together. They'd go the 1-2 hit up, and then Tapane would jump in on the 3rd or 4th tackle and get an offload away or play before the line. And I think he's going to be man of the match. I think he's going to take control well and truly at the back end of this game, and he will be man of the match. Hudson Young to score the first try. I think they're going to go back to that setup that they really like with the back rowers charging in on those lines and causing problems for this Newcastle team that, realistically their defence has not been great for the entire season. I can see them scoring a few points and, pressuring the Raiders at times in this game, but I think the Raiders will last longer than this Newcastle team will, and it'll be Canberra 1-12, Tapane man of the match, and Hudson Young first try score.
So I guess hell didn't quite freeze over. It just got cool for a bit because now you're back with us.
Ollie?
For some weird reason, I'm not certain on this one. I am going to go with the safe bet of Canberra, but I feel like this has a Canberra letdown written all over it with a Newcastle win in it.
It 100% does, and I'm terrified of it.
From both teams, and you could just see both teams being horrible, but I am going to go Canberra here. I'll say 1-12. Both teams will make at least 10 errors. Man of the match, I'm going to go with Barney, Joey Tarpany. We love our forwards. And first try scorer, I'm going to go with Albert Hopewadi.
Danaan?
Can you tip a draw?
Yeah.
Of course you can. You're allowed to. And you'll be considered a genius forever. And the one time I tipped a draw, I got it. It won't be the same.
This is just a weird memory I've had. Do you remember that season, 16 maybe, where Newcastle, I think they beat the Tigers, but then they had a draw and they lost every other game? I'm pretty sure that draw was against Canberra, was it not?
Oh, potentially.
Probably 16, man. Different sides now, but yeah.
Sure. You tell us, Ollie. It's your opinion.
For the sake of the tipping comp, I think I just go Raiders because, when can you ever tip a draw? But this could be 2-2, or it could be 20-2, or I don't know. I really don't know. Canberra's one of the sides that I tipped at the start of the year to drop out of the 8, much like my Eels. So that's doing exactly as we thought. Adam O'Brien, I thought, would be the first coach sacked, and that's also still a good possibility. I really don't know. Do you have like the wet fart sound? Because that's this game.
There you go.
So, like for the
I have to
for the
produce
sake
the
of
wet
it,
fart sounds myself. It's just over
it's the type of game where nothing special will happen, but Jack Whiten probably scores the first try or sets up the last try or something and earns himself man of the match, and Raiders win 1-12, and everyone just says, "Thank God it's over."
I know what you're saying, and I sort of agree in that I actually am not calling for O'Brien's head because I think the Newcastle Knights have overperformed this year, and I think they'll do the same here. I don't think they'll win, but I don't think this will be a slaughter by any means. I think they've got some mongrel in their spine now, and some attacking points in their spine. Once they work it out, and once they, eventually move Hastings to lock like everyone else wants to do. But I think that, as you've said, the steamroll is going to come up the front there, and I think this will be a Ford's game. I think man of the match, probably Tarpanay. First try scorer will go with Whitehead. I think it's just going to be like a bulldozer sort of game where crash play is going to be king, and Fitzgibbon will get a try, Whitehead will get a try, someone else will Tapano will run 10 metres and get a try. I think it's that sort of game. And I agree, Whiten might come out the back and have a dummy half run or throw a ball and win this game. So let's go with 1-12 Canberra. As I said, first try scorer Whitehead, man of the match. Yeah, probably Tarpanay. Did I repeat myself then? Probably. Dragons, Sharks, 6 o'clock at Netstrata. So the big Super Sunday ticket continues. For apparently the Dragons are shopping around for a coach according to NRL 360 I saw today. So hey, good on Hook for making it to round 4.
He's reapplying for the position apparently.
Yes. Apparently he's done nothing wrong, but
Well, they're 1-1 and they've had a bye. You'd think they'd wait at least a few more.
Just like a way to kick the boot in. Fuck me. Dragons board.
Wait for him to actually drop off a cliff first because
he's floating in $1.60 or what? Madge might be back. Who knows? Anyway, surely he's not crazy.
I'll take either.
Same Jason Rolls.
Brad Arthur.
If you get into
they can have Brad.
If you just want Roll, and apparently Jason Rolls has got massive raps on him as a good coach. If you just want to do that, go and do it. Why fuck around? Just go. You know what?
Should have done it in the off season.
Exactly.
That's
right.
it. Yeah.
Exactly
If you're doing it this early, it should have been done already.
These I know the Tigers are a basket case, but fuck me, they make them. They're on the same level. Anyway, here they go. Catchman's back here after his HIA. Aaron Woods and Amone on the Telltale Amone's on the extended bench. So who knows? We might see him back. Hopefully, no hammer in hand. We get Nico's back and Trindle named in the extended bench. What are you laughing at, Oliver?
For a second, I thought to myself, "You're so stupid. The hammer doesn't play for the track."
Anyway, here we are. Barney, come on. What's going to happen here? You want to see better than last week, I'm assuming.
He's got Nico's back. It's going to be amazing.
The goal line defence is what they need to fix. It's been a glaring thing for the first three games that they've played. They've let in a lot of crash plays, as we mentioned on Monday. And yeah, if that continues, there's a chance of losing this game. But I don't think it does. I think the Sharks will be strong enough in the middle to probably control the field position for most of the game. Like Trindle on the bench, I would have preferred him to be named at 6, but that's a whole different story. He can come on and play some Puka, maybe at a pinch play that 13 role where McGuinness is playing and push him to an edge. But, the Sharks have built up a pretty good record down at Netstrata as well, with the couple of years that they had to play down there. And they've got no fears going down there to play because they had a really good record down there over the recent seasons.
Sorry, keep going.
No, go on.
No, you go.
I think the Sharks... I think the Sharks will just be slightly better in the middle of the field, and that they've just got way more points in them than this Dragon side do. So I expect them to put on the points at the back end of this game and win 13+. I'm going to go man of the match before. he was extremely fired up last week and played one of his better games that he has for a while. And if he can continue that form, I can see him charging through a few holes and scoring probably a double, maybe even a hat-trick in this game. And got him at man of the match. And, I'm going to go first. I'll back it up with Nakora for first try as well.
Danaan?
Nico. He's going to come back and...
I call him Nico.
Nico Hines?
You can call him Mr.
No matter
Hines
what
if
it
you
is.
You know who you're talking about.
Yeah, he's
Sorry,
just... No, I might be wrong. And sorry if I am. I just don't think he's going to miss it. The All-Stars game, he was amazing. And I think he's just going to come in and just control the field, just like he done for the Sharks last year, by the season last year for them. Everyone, he's one of those players that everyone seems, he just gets everyone else to lift. It makes everyone that's playing on his outside better. And I can see them comfortably beating the Dragons this week. I know the Dragons went to the wire with the Broncos before that late fade. I think that late fade, they're the type of things that linger in the brain a week later. If the Sharks can come out and score two or three within the first 20 minutes, it very well could just be a blowout. Mulatalo, first try scorer. Nico Hines, man of the match. Sharks by 20. It's going to be the biggest gap of the weekend.
Wow, I like it. I like what you're saying, and why not? Let's pile on. Sharks 13+. I think class will prevail here. Nico will need to run, and I'd love to see, and I think it's going to happen. I'd love to see Trindle and Nico as a combination at some point. But I agree with Barn. Nakora is going to score a couple of tries here. If he doesn't, Wilton. If you're going to have your same game multi, as they say, Nakora and Wilton, throw them both in. They'll both score a try in this game. And let's give man of the match Bubba Kenda. He'll get one too. I think this will... I think they didn't play well last week, but their structure was in place, and this will come to the fore here. Ollie, am I underrating the Dragons at all?
I don't think you are, but I am going to go Cronulla 1-12 because just so far this year they haven't been completely convincing, especially last week against Canberra. Plus, it generally against the Dragons for some reason they always win, but it's always sort of closer than you think. Another interesting point, I don't know if this is coincidental or not, but 3 derbies in one round. We got Penrith.
I was about to say it's going to say
my frothing, Oliver.
Yeah, you've stole all the frothies. Because if this isn't the... keep going and we'll come back. Because if this isn't the greatest Matt Nable clip we've seen all year, we've got the Titans and Cowboys. We've got the Dolphins in Brisbane. We've got Penrith Para, and we've got the Shire. We've got the... whatever they call it that you got in trouble for not calling it last year, the Shire... clash.
South
if
Coast.
This isn't the greatest Matt Nable 3-minute spiel I've ever seen, it'll be a letdown.
Yeah, you'll have to cancel Vince's Fox subscription.
I'm sure Forbes is paying for it.
But I'm going to go Nico, man of the match on return, though, and I'm going to say
God damn, I'm so angry at you right
scorer, Ronaldo Mulatalo. Now, this just popped into my head, and I've just kind of got to blurt it out, so bear with me here. Now, obviously, you go back throughout people's lives and their lineage and their ancestry, and some people tend to get their surnames from odd places. I 100% guarantee at some point one of Toby Couchman's ancestors got done for nicking someone's lounge, and they got the last name wrong. And they're like, "What'd you do again?" "Oh, you stole someone's lounge." Couchman. 100%, because how else would it be the last name?
What did you do, bro? I stole the couch, man. That's him.
I'm the first fleet that got sent over for stealing a loaf of bread. Now, I'm not saying that Couchman were on the first fleet or anything. I don't know anything about them, but at some point, an ancestor of Toby Couchman's, and I'm tipping it was something to do with nicking a couch, because usually it's something to do with the law and it's a police officer that gives them the name. But at some point, an ancestor of Toby Couchman's had to have some sort of connection to furniture.
Yeah.
Where the hell is that clip from that? What's that Adam Sandler movie? That 3.5 minute of garbage. We are now all dumber.
No.
And unfortunately, the only thing Toby Rudolph's
Really
parents
bad.
ever did wrong was like Christmas. But anyway, let's.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, well, that's it. Tremendous note to finish on, Oliver. The Velvet Flog is back, and I love you for it. We need to talk SuperCoach because that's why Danaan's on. Yeah, do you want to throw all your questions at us right now, Danaan?
Oh, Teddy, are you holding or is Walsh?
He'd gone a long time ago.
Oh, wow. So that long ago? Okay. Barney?
I've still got him in my setup at the moment. I've got other issues and I've been looking around, but I dare say my boost interchange this week will be to use Teddy to go to Walsh.
All right.
I can't see any other options.
The big one for the week is Nico. Are you jumping on straight away? Or I know Cleary's a big trade out this week for him, just with the high break even. What's your thoughts there, guys?
Money-wise, it makes sense. Absolutely, it does. Looking at close to 100 grand, I think it is for Cleary to drop this week unless he hits over 100. And even then, he's still going to be losing money. So,
he's got to hit like
sense.
160, I think, is his break.
Yeah, just to break even. Yeah, that's right. So even if he does ton up this weekend, he's still probably looking at losing about 50K.
I'm not sure.
Going straight to Nico is a bit of a worry. But I can't see any other stepping stones, to be honest.
I wouldn't be going... And as you know, I am pod sick, so I just refuse to listen to anyone else. And I'll also get the champ's thoughts in a sec. But
yeah, I noticed he bought the belt back.
Yeah, but I can't necessarily see Cleary turning up, and Nico might only play 60 minutes. Trindley's on the bench, and they might just want to nurse him through 50, and if they're up by 20, he comes off. I don't know if I'm charging in yet. The one I'm looking for, my halves are shambles, but the one I'm looking for is, I'm starting to think Reynolds. I'm starting to think he can get me to Origin, and then I'll worry about Cleary after Origin. Maybe Reynolds, and now DC's had the bye. Maybe the two I can back. See how I go there. My question, thoughts, anyone? Ollie?
Well, you mentioned Reynolds. I've gone Ezra Mam. I've bought Ezra Mam in for Dewey this week.
That's my next question. Dewey's gone to fullback. He's 610. He's dropped 40K or something. Like, I don't know what to make him a fullback. I don't know.
He's still got the massive break even. But I think the Broncos draw. It's just very, very good.
And no buy to Origin.
No buy to Origin. Adam Reynolds has never been a very big SuperCoach
but
player.
This year. This year he's having the tries.
If they can keep scoring 7-8 tries a game,
he kicks 5 goals a game or 6 goals.
That's what I mean. So that's where his points come from. But Ezra Mann's just that running 5'8". None of these players really, apart like Nico and Cleary, were the end of the year halfbacks. But 5'8" wise, I think it's still Brown and Munster are the top two, and that's who you want to be running home with. But obviously with the bye and how the change in the season structure is, it just makes it just that little bit difficult this year, especially with this new 11-day protocol. How does that make you work your bench now? It almost feels like you need to have a strong.
Well, I'm trying to keep depth on the bench. I'm lucky enough I've got Preston, which I'll probably just keep all year. I've got Josh Hodgins as a second hooker, so I can play elsewhere. Lindsay Collins, I'm sitting out, but I've still got strong props. So, question mark. I've got my half for my 5'8" to AJ and Dewey, and I feel like I could almost biff off Dewey for Schuster and still be in front and bank 400. Like it's an interesting thing. So that's where I'm heading, just to shore up. My weak point is my back, and 400k gets me a Carraz, or gets me in a week's time gets me Manu back. So I'm sort of leaning that way a little bit.
What do you just cop it.
Yeah, Ollie, what do you reckon?
Ollie's staying quiet here.
Bro.
There's a method to my madness, because here's the thing. I've got the belt. I'm the champion. Now I've got all of these tips I could be giving out, and I've got all of these thoughts and all of these methods to my madness. But in doing that, why would I want to give up this belt by giving you guys insider knowledge that I have? So what I'll say instead is, right, is this not the best belt, like the best wrestling championship of all time?
Only the Winged Eagles, the only one better.
I think it's the big
Wow.
goal for anyone listening who an old wrestling fan, the old World Heavyweight Championship belt. I think this is far and above.
This is for those listening on Spotify, it's the Ric Flair belt. The Ric Flair NWA WCW belt. It is the greatest bar the Winged Eagle.
I for some reason just loved the hardcore belt as a kid.
Wasn't that the Winged Eagle belt smashed up?
Smashed up, yeah.
It was something like that.
And
Gifted
then
to
Mick Foley's
mankind.
sticky tape shit over the top.
Yeah.
And the IWGP, the classic Okada IWG belt is as good as that.
No, you can leave me out of your belts.
Yeah,
I have no opinion on your belts.
Barney, tell us, what are we doing with our halves here? Fix this for me.
Fix the halves, Barney. What's the plan moving forward?
My halves are an absolute shambles.
Oh, fuck, I'm glad you got
But
the
that's
board.
it. It seems
So
like
you can't tip a fucking winner and you don't have a clue about SuperCoach. I'm glad we did the podcast
Absolutely.
for
I can
you.
review a game.
Yeah, it's all right.
That's about it.
Very good on the stats.
I've still got Cleary in there at the moment, and I'm probably going to take the 50k loss. To be honest, I'm really trying to look. I think I'm going to try and free up some money and have dual Nico and Cleary and just run them through the rest of the season.
That's what I've got for that reason. No more trades, and just you've got your halves for the rest of the year.
Does this season feel
the
like...
only thing that might hurt you is Origin time, but if you can get, you only have to play the 13 during Origin time anyway, so you could probably just sit them both out.
Yeah, so remind me again.
Fill in some holes through the
And
middle.
that was part of the reason why.
So
I'm
remember,
doing-
Origin, they just pick your top 13 players, eh?
That's it.
Yeah, that's right. So if you do have a hole in your halves, you're going to get your AE, you're going to get your auto emergency off your bench anyway. So as long as you've only sort of got one hole in your lineup come Origin time, it's probably not going to be the biggest issue in the world. And if you can't see any problem with running dual halves in Cleary and Irons for the majority of the season, and unless there's obviously injury. So I think I'm going to probably cop a loss on Cleary and probably Nico in 3 or 4 weeks down the track, to be honest. But you only lose the money if you sell them. So
Who's the rest?
my biggest problems is my 5'8", to be honest. I started with Din, expecting him to be hot, and I tipped him to be medallion medalist at the end of the year, and he started nowhere near medallion medalists.
I'm the same. Well, Dearden's going to man for me this week, so I know exactly what you're talking about.
There's no 5'8" answer.
And I had Cooper Johns because I expected Schuster to be out for a few more weeks, and I was hoping to maybe make a little bit of cash and then go sideways to Schuster. But it still is a downgrade. I can make $100,000 there, bring Schuster in, which will probably let me run the dual halves, and then I'm going to have to probably downgrade one of my back rowers. But
I think 5'8" has an answer there, Daggy. It's just you can't have your halves and your 5'8" set already. I do think it's Brown and Munster. I think they've already Munster played the one game.
Also, with this year, you've got to set up to have 6 blokes on the bench you have to play, because you're gonna have to. You can't burn a trade every time. I've got Lindsay Collins. My front row is Harris, Stefano, Collins, and soon it would also be Taupane.
Yeah.
And I'll just rotate them. You just go, okay, you pick whoever they're playing. You might go, okay, they'll have a big game. Also, they have a bye. They just sit there. You've got to have better depth than you've had.
Definitely.
I'm just going to cherry
AJ and Dewey in my.
I'm
probably. I can see myself keeping AJ all year as a 5'8", and then it'd just be what I do with the second one. Whether I could go to Schuster now, bank 400, and be happy having Schuster for Dewey. And if Dewey comes out and scores 5 tries, I'll live with it.
I'm just going to cherry pick a couple of the top projected point money makers for the next round. Jermaine Hopgood's made 155 already. I'd be surprised if nobody's got him in their team, but if you haven't, get him, because he's probably going to end up on 600. You're still going to get another 150 out of him, even though you're late on the boat. Carraz is a funny one for me because there's going to be games where he's only going to score 30. He's made 70 now.
Perez is the
probably
new
make
Bizza.
I think
will
so.
make another-
I've got Carraz and don't plan on selling him for the rest of the year.
Yeah, he will make another 50 to 100, but it's probably not even that, actually. He may make another 50 to 70, but there are going to be games where he's only going to have 20 or 30.
He's also too expensive to just bring in for the sake of bringing him in. He's past that.
Elise Katoa, 485 grand is probably not a bad. Like if he's your number one reserve second rower on the bench, he's already made again another 75. He's probably going to make another 75 to 100 on top of that by the end of the season, and then you can really trade him to someone who's on fire at the back end of the year or post Origin. Stefano Utokumano, we mentioned him at the start of the year. You really needed to get on him at the start of the year. He's made 50. He's probably going to make another 100.
He'll get to 5.
He'll make another 50 probably this week, and then slowly go up another 50 or 60 and make you 150 grand, and then you can look at your options whether you keep him or not. Tyrell Sloan only at 300,000, and is having a big impact at times at fullback. So he will have games where he will go close to a ton, probably every second or third week, and I expect him to probably be worth 600 grand come Origin time. So there's 300 grand that you might be able to make.
I'll just make, he's probably that little bit. He's just that, you get those players that are betwixt and between, whether that 400, like not quite. Naden's that one where if you can get Naden, if Naden was 350, you'd be all over him. 400, and you want to upgrade from a 280 player to 4. Naden's been Tiger's best player all year, and he will keep putting what he does in. He'll score tries. He does a lot of work now. Brett Naden.
And if you don't have Taruva in your team by now, get him this week, because he's going to make 100 grand this week, and then probably 100 grand in the next 2 or 3 weeks on top of that. So, and he's someone that if they do have somebody come in and take his spot, you can easily move him on for somebody else, and you've made 200-300 grand by the time he's finished. So
absolutely.
So,
all right, what's got us?
Yeah, I was the only other one was just who's your biggest disappointment so far? Was there any other? Like for me personally, it's Dearden. I put a lot of by the sounds of it, you're the same, Barney.
Cheese was one as well, even though he came back pretty strong.
Actually, Will Warbrick's biggest disappointment.
Yeah, but he was at bottom dollar. Bottom dollars can't be 30 grand.
True.
It's like Pele. I've got Pele from the Bulldogs, who's not even playing now, just sitting in my front row on 216K, and I can't do anything. I'm
going to biff him off for Schuster. I've decided, because he'd be a
liability. Because they gave him so many minutes in the trial, and he looked so good, and now he comes into.
Well, I think they discovered Preston.
They just play 10 or 15 minutes.
And there's no upside, because Taviti's going to be back soon. He's going to be out.
That's it.
And now I think he might go for me. The more I think of this. Warbrick, definitely a disappointment. Dewey, a disappointment, but 40% of the comp on him, so everyone's with us. Fullback's going to be interesting this week, because I don't know what his attacking upside is there. I don't know, it changes. We'll see.
And if Walsh wasn't going as well as he was, I'd probably be leaning towards keeping Tedesco, because he's going to drop 100, but he's going to get back up to sort of near where he started at some point.
It's just how you end Origin. Yeah. Origin's going to be there.
Now with Walsh, 200 grand, you can downgrade to him, pick yourself up 200 grand, and then and also come Origin time.
Actually, we'll say I think Val's been a disappointment, but I think that's the back of the Cowboys. Some of these aren't necessarily reflections on themselves, but it's a reflection on the team. And Val's now,
he's averaging 60 without a try, I believe. Has he scored a try? I don't think he's scored a try.
No, not yet.
He scored a try.
So he's pretty much he's averaging 60, which is still pretty good for a centre to not have scored a try. But
really, you can go get 3 first-grade fullbacks to play CT dub for you if you go Hammer, Chance, and Sloan. All around at 3. Well, Hammer's now 420. All around at 3 is like you should just be cashing in and getting that and work it out.
Dearden, as your biggest disappointment's only lost 40K as well. Realistically,
I think it was more that pod that
but it's winning games.
Full of
and then he may lose another 40 this week, but then he's back to probably where he's priced at the way he's going at the moment, and there's only really upside. You can't go much further back.
But now
he's
once
still trying and he's going all right. He's just
once we now get 7
on line.
now Is he the Queensland 5'8"? I suppose no. Munster will be. He'll be in the squad.
Munster.
DCE. He'll be in the squad. He has to be. But is there? Cowboys one I don't know. I'm starting to think there's no upside, and that's the concern.
The upside for him personally.
But is there when you're in a team?
He's going to score more than 37.
Yeah, he will.
There's been the last 2 games he's taken the line on. Probably I've noticed there's been 3 or 4 opportunities where if they didn't just grab him at the last minute, he would have scored a try. So
we said that about Ezra as well.
Top of your score, you know what I mean? Yeah, absolutely. No, I'll be going to Ezra this week, I would imagine. But
Ollie, you sitting there waving your big dong around? What's going on?
My opponents, past and future, they don't put up a challenge. We're still talking about biggest disappointments of SuperCoach, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
I assume it's them.
My opponent's past and future. Yeah.
You haven't played us yet. You'll be all right, Victor.
Yeah, you're one of the future opponents.
Keep whacking away. That's all right. Nice belt there.
Let's move on.
All right. What's got us? We need a disaster class. Do we need to pause for this? Probably should take a quick minute.
Well, what's got us frothing?
No, we'll do a disaster class. Oh, we can froth if you want. Let's pause because I need to work this shit out. All right. After that weird adjudication off air, we are going to come back with our disaster class. What happened last week, David?
Yeah, well, you and me didn't make any money last week.
God
We've
damn
both
it.
gone backwards. You're currently sitting at minus $10. I'm at positive $50. Oliver was the winner chicken dinner this week with a $50 bet on the Titans under 12.
What do you make from
We
that?
ended up making $210 profit.
He did this
last week.
Oh, money
So-
bags.
Take away his $50 minus from the week before. He's now at a positive $160 for his second bet of the season.
Shit.
Jeez.
Fair enough. All right, let's come back. Let's just go chips in here. I'm going to go $25 the Bizza first try Penrith.
Yep.
$10 first try Appy against Melbourne at $81. $15 on Elliot Whitehead.
$10 at 81.
Yep. $15 Whitehead first try against Newcastle. What have we got left? $10.
No, that's it. You're done.
All right, that'll do. That's awful, but I'll be rich afterwards. Don't ever take that under consideration, punters, and please gamble responsibly. I'll think about it better next
So
week.
Brian Toto was what, $7, and what was Whitehead?
8. Brian Toto's at 8.
Appy was
Toto's
81,
at 8.
and Whitehead was down on the list
Around
here.
the $20 marks.
I would suggest he is $23. Let's call that.
$23
23. You probably got
23.
26 out there. Danaan is our guest.
Next.
So I'm kind of following you. They've actually, since we started, so Toto, when we started the podcast, was 8 and Taruva was $8.50. They're now both $8.25 to score the first try.
Yeah.
I'm going the 25 on Taruva.
Yep.
Mhm.
So they're both $8.25. I'm going $15 on Liam Martin, Nick Meaney, Reece Walsh, and Brian Nakora, all anytime try scorers, which is paying 101.
Wow.
Jesus.
I call him
I'm
Britain,
going
but it's
$10 for the last 5 away teams of the round to win. So that's the Sharks, Raiders, Bulldogs, Sea Eagles, and Titans, and that's paying $32.50. So
Look
I've been
at
the last
you.
10 on that.
Raiders, Bulldogs, Titans.
Yeah, the
What
last
was the
5
other
away
one?
teams. So you got them there? Yeah, just
Sharks,
last
Raiders, Bulldogs, Titans.
Manly.
That's it.
Was it
Man,
Manly? Yeah.
no.
So yeah, those 5 are paying $32.50.
Yeah.
love it. Barn.
Wow, I've been throwing that's some serious speculatory betting there. I hope they get up.
If
I
you
might
get a-
put a couple of dollars here and there on
That's
those
it.
things. I've got Brisbane, Cronulla, Raiders, Warriors, all head to head. Get your $5.50. Gonna have $30 on that. $10 on Xavier Coates to score the first try for Melbourne at $7.50 and $10 on Brenton Nickera to score the first try for the Sharks at $21.
Champ.
So I've decided as well, right? Because I don't actually put these bets on because I don't bet. I reckon if by a miracle I end up at all at the end of the season, one of you should just give me the money.
Sure. Okay.
Oh no. Okay. Now, can I bet with you every race day, Ollie? And
because
if I win, you can give me the money.
No, because I don't bet on racing and you do. It'd be if we were doing it. If I was on your racing podcast, then
You're welcome on. Show us your tips. Of course, you can find it on Spotify and YouTube as well.
And if I gave my tips, even though I don't bet, those happen to get up, I'd expect you to pay me then as well. But no, it doesn't go the other way around. You
crack the code. You're the one, Ollie, that cracked the code. Yes, you'll get your friends to pay you the bets you should have put on.
I haven't cracked the code. I haven't.
You're asking for a sponsorship for the program.
We are asking sponsorship. If Betfair would love to get on board, that'd be tremendous. But anyway,
$50 a weekly segment where Ollie bets $50
of someone else's money.
That's it.
I'm going to go all 50 on my Parramatta 1 to 12 tip.
Okay.
What should happen now?
What are you getting? You're probably getting what are you getting?
About 350.
Yeah. Cool. What's got us frothing? What has got me frothing is, as I said, in Derby round, we've got the 4 Queensland teams all playing each other. We got the Battle of the West, and we've got the Sharks and the Dragons. If this isn't the best Matt Nable clip we've seen in 2 years, I will be disappointed. And that purely alone, when I turn on 360 tomorrow night, has got me frothing. Also, all those games will be good too, I suppose. Ollie?
So what's got me frothing sort of goes a bit against a prediction that I've made, but I guess this one's going bold. For an injured Katoa, Anthony Milford comes in at the last minute, and I'm frothing over his man of the match performance against his former club, the Broncos, in front of a sold-out Suncorp Stadium in the first ever Dolphins v Broncos Brisbane derby. It's time for the milk.
Danaan.
You kind of just stole the thunder. It's just those.
Oh, you're going to tip Milford as well.
No, it is. It's another week where, apart from potentially the first and last game, I don't see a massive blowout occurring. It's just going to be another great weekend of football, rugby league.
No hot weather, which is good.
Well, that is the only issue. It might be raining. They reckon in Sydney. Yeah. Might be raining in Sydney. So, if anything, that might actually help the Eels Panthers game be a close contest.
Yeah, well, going to double down with both of you. Obviously, the derbies between the four games with the derby competition there are going to be fantastic, I would imagine. And it's just the 50-50 nature of the entire competition. Like either of the we've tipped a blowout here and there in these games, but there is no way that you couldn't say that the other team's going to win. Like
there is no game. There is actually no game we would be shocked.
You could absolutely toss a coin in every game and probably do better than what you actually go out and tip. So
the Dragons is the only game I'd be shocked if the Dragons won. That's it. Other than that, every other game it is 50-50.
And as a Sharks fan, Nico coming back. Getting harder and harder these days to get me up and frothing, but
I thought you were saying Nico was getting you harder and harder.
Jump on the board on the bandwagon, and I'll be riding the Nico train all through the season. Hopefully, can take us to bigger and better things.
You just riding something.
You pull that hair, Barney. How good. I'm looking forward to it because, you know, it hasn't let us down so far this season, which is tremendous. Thank you, Dana, for joining us. We'll do it again.
Thanks for having me.
Come back on when we need you. We'll call upon you. It's been a pleasure. Ollie and Barn, thank you, and we'll let everyone go. How good. And you know what we're going to do? We're going to talk about it for about 3 hours next Tuesday night and crap on again. So looking forward to that as well. Go and check out Rugby League merch. Buy some of these sexy hats. Buy some shirts and steins and everything else in between. Check out PCTC on Facebook. And until then, punters, love you. Bye-bye.